What is up, everybody? Isaac here with Civil Engineering Academy. Excited to be with you. Thanks for joining me on another podcast episode. And if you do enjoy these, please give us a like or a subscribe or whatever it is, wherever you're listening. Give us that stuff because it helps, and we really do enjoy doing these things. So hopefully you enjoy listening to them if you are. So thanks for finding us in this part of the internet world and podcasting world. We really do appreciate it. But today I bring on my brother Mark again. Mark is heavy into the civil structural arena, works for a general contractor here, and is always building stuff. Mark recently went to a wonderful conference, and it's called the World of Concrete. I call it the Wonderful World of Concrete, probably because my head's wrapped up in Disney shows or something like that with 4 kids. So anyway, the World of Concrete is pretty awesome, and it details everything to do with concrete. You have all the associations, all the big publicators that are coming down there, the code writers, equipment, all kinds of fun stuff goes to this event. It's held in Las Vegas in January, and he recently attended that. So he comes onto the show to talk about his experience with it, what and why maybe you want to consider going as well in the future. So if you've had any interest in concrete, you should definitely give this a listen. Whether you work for a place and you deal with concrete, or you're just interested in concrete in general, there's some really neat things about concrete that I think you'll enjoy, and the equipment and all of the new technology that might be coming out and headed your way if you're involved in this world. So anyway, with that introduction, I'm excited to present this to you. This is my interview with Mark as we talk about the world of concrete, and it's coming up right after this. All right, we are back at it with another sweet podcast episode. Mark, what's going on?
Hey, I'm back again, Isaac.
Back at it.
You keep bringing me back. I don't know why, but here I am again.
People like you, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
They keep you back on the show anytime. You're regular, man. You're involved in the industry, so we like it.
Well, good.
So we're excited. Today we're going to talk about the World of Concrete, which is a trade show you recently attended. You're coming back from that, and it sounds like it was a good time. So I wanted to pick your brain about what the World of Concrete is and a host of other questions. So why don't we back up and maybe let's first ask, what is the World of Concrete?
The world of concrete. I mean, it is literally the world of concrete. It is a big show. So I think it started back in 1975. I think was the first time it was put on, and it used to alternate. They used to go down to New Orleans one year, and then they'd come into Vegas the next year. And then about, it was probably 02, 03 kind of era. They decided, you know what, let's just keep it in Vegas every year. But it's this huge annual international event that's is cool because it's got classes that are offered. So it's tailored towards, maybe practicing professionals that want to learn about some of the latest industry technology. And you can usually learn things from, all the big major concrete industry organizations. So we're talking about ACI and PTI and CRSI and NRMCA, PCA, all the big concrete industry organizations. They put on some put on demonstrations, some have, just exhibits. Most of them put on, like I say, classes. And so practicing professionals can participate in classes. And then they have the entire Las Vegas exhibit hall that's just full of companies exhibiting their latest products. And so you get everything from equipment, any kind of equipment that's associated with concrete, hoisting equipment, concrete pumps, batch plants. Just so much stuff. It's hard to remember it all. Reinforcement, formwork systems, stuff that has a lot to do with sustainability. There's, a big movement that, concrete creates, a lot of carbon emissions as they manufacture the cement powder, and so
Hmm.
there's an effort to reduce that. Just every concrete accessory that you could ever imagine is on this exhibition floor, and it just takes days to go through this place. And for a guy like me that's in the concrete industry, and I work for a specialty contractor. It's just this, I don't know, it's just like this treasure trove of, latest developments and latest equipment and latest ideas that are in the industry, kind of all in one big package. And it's kind of a cool show. It's
That's
really,
awesome.
yeah.
So it sounds like from what you're describing, this is geared towards anyone that deals with anything with concrete, whether you're in the construction arena, whether you're an engineer doing heavy civil structural, anyone that's dealing with concrete in any level, this is what it's built for. I imagine, though, I mean, in terms of civil engineering discipline, it's probably geared towards more construction structural folk in those arenas. But what's your thoughts on who's attending this and why they'd want to go?
Yeah, so primarily I'd say it is geared towards the construction industry, so general contractors and specialty subcontractors. But it's really a really great place for construction engineers, and even structural engineers that design with structural concrete and are concerned about understanding, the best ways to, I don't know, put together mixed designs and the latest admixtures that concrete has available, and how to reduce corrosion, in your reinforcement. What are the latest? What's the latest? Reinforcement rebar splicing technologies. There's just a lot of stuff that's even geared towards more of a structural engineer, like me. But I do come from the construction industry, and
How long have you been going to this conference?
I've been going
Every
for the
year?
last 20 years. Yeah, and so it's interesting because it has its ebbs and flows. You can kind of tell when the markets are really good and construction is booming, the show tends to be a little bit bigger, and then um, when we're going through a little bit leaner times and there's not as many construction projects, it seems to be a little more smaller show, but it's always good. It's always a good time.
That's awesome. So let's dive into then. You're touring the floor. You can spend days out there touring everything. Um, what um, what are you seeing that excites you that's out there in the industry? Are there a couple things that maybe you could talk about?
Yeah, so I think we'll be able to post some pictures here, but one of the interesting things, so the construction industry as a whole is suffering from kind of a lack of labor. There's a lot of old craftsmen and craftswomen that are retiring right now, and there isn't a lot of the younger generation getting into the trades and replacing them right
Hmm.
now. And so there's this labor shortage, and so there's a lot of you can see a lot of the innovations that are geared towards reducing labor and maybe not eliminating, obviously, the need for uh, hand labor or human labor, but I mean they got robots now that'll tie rebar. And so one of the interesting exhibits I went to, they had a robot, and it was pretty rudimentary. I mean, you could tell it would they had it set on a typical slab that you would have rebar tied, suspended slab where you'd had even on center spacing on your rebar, and this robot was going along and it was finding the intersection of the rebar and then putting a tie wire on it. Bzz, 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 bzz. You could hear it, grinding
Hmm.
away, and it was kind of buzzing along, and it was really interesting. Um, was it as fast as a typical rebar tire? No. Was it as efficient? No. But you can see the industry. There's definitely an effort uh, to try to get, uh, I guess, humans out of out of
Some of
the
the jobs.
off the jobs, because there's not the available labor resources, I guess is the way to say it, that we used to have. And so there's companies trying to come up with innovative ways to either reduce the size of construction crews, or possibly eliminate them completely. And now
Wow.
this robot was acting on a mat of rebar that was already in place, right? So you still need humans to lay it all out and make sure that the on center spacing was proper and the clear cover and everything. And then you could conceivably turn this thing loose on the mat of rebar and it could tie it all for you, So
Is
it's not,
someone manning the robot? I mean, is it like a
yeah,
joystick, or is it like a set of plans you input into the robot and it just
n-
goes to town?
the robot had like a data collector. And so um, the operator was inputting into the robot this, I don't know if it was a CRV file or exactly what the nature of the data was, but it had enough. It had the model. It was probably a DXF file. Is probably
Mhm.
what it was, just a CAD file that the data collector running on the robot could read, so it knew where the rebar intersections were
That makes
approximately, and then
sense.
it could cruise along and tie things. So
I wonder if they'll get so advanced. Maybe they do their own little lidar before they go to town and figure it out themselves. That would be. I don't know.
Yeah,
You can see where
that'd
they're
be
headed, but
interesting. Well, exactly, and so they're moving in some of those directions. I thought that too. What if you had like a drone that could kind of hover over the mat of rebar before it needed to be tied, and kind of get a lay of the land and the orientation, and then the robot could
figure it
go from
out.
there. So again, they're moving in some of those directions, because we just there's just not enough young folks getting into the trades anymore, and so they're trying to come up with solutions.
Yep. Okay. So drones is one, or these robots is another. Anything else out there you saw that was reducing
Yeah, there
crew
was another
numbers?
cool thing that was a laser screed that was mounted kind of on a spider boom. So
Hmm.
kind of, if you can imagine, and hopefully we can put some pictures on here, Isaac. But
We'll do that. So those watching on YouTube, I know this might be hard if you're listening to the audio version, but if you do jump over to our YouTube channel, we'll try to post some pictures of what Mark saw down there, so you can get an idea of what's
yeah,
going on.
so this was another cool development, and this has been around for a little while, but they've made a couple improvements. They've made the reach a lot longer. But what it is, it's a laser screed. So traditionally, laser screeds have been these boom mounted screeds that could had kind of a telescoping boom that could go in and out, and you could put in a model into the data collector on a laser screed, and then you'd have an outside reference point that was usually in the form of a laser level, so that the screed could orient itself in elevation up and down. And you can get a model in the data collector for the screed, and then that screed could go out and actually screed the concrete, and you could get very precise levelness and flatness out of that concrete with a
Hmm.
laser screed. Well, now and primarily those laser screeds were built for slabs on grade, so big warehouses. You think of your big box shopping centers and those kind of things. Those screeds were really good at getting really flat floors for those types of structures. Well, now they've got screeds that we're trying to minimize the number of workers that are required to place and finish the concrete. And so now they've got a screed that you can actually put up on top of a shored elevated concrete deck, like a post tension concrete deck. And this screed sits on the deck, and it's got a telescoping boom as well that can reach out and screed the floors and it eliminates about half the crew that's normally required for traditional methods. And so
Hmm.
it was
You
kind
just
of a
move this
cool.
thing around, huh?
Well,
Wherever you
yeah,
need it.
it's just a really cool innovation that now you have to have a tower crane, and you have to obviously have some type of hoisting to get you up to those elevated areas. Um, but once that thing's up there and working, and you've got your model in the data collector, and it knows what elevations it's screeding to, it can actually screed in 3 dimensions, and so you can screed to drain locations and things like that,
Wow.
and it ends up eliminating. So a normal crew, place and finish, 12 to 14 guys, and with this laser screed, you can cut that in half. So another
Dang.
labor saving innovative device that I'm actually going to have it demoed on one of my jobs that I've got going right now to
Ooh.
see if it's something that we want to
Hey,
buy.
get some
Yeah.
video of that. We'll post it on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, so
Get some video of that.
that was another cool innovation. And again, I'm giving you my perspective, and obviously I'm going to gravitate towards the stuff that interests me, but
Sure.
that was one thing that I was like, wow, that's cool.
What's the ballpark for a cost for this thing? Do they announce
Yeah,
those or show those?
they're in the $400,000 range is what these things cost. So
But the payoff seems pretty good when you're
yeah,
eliminating
but if I'm
4 or 5
eliminating
guys.
6 guys, yeah, at $32 an hour,
There you
add
go.
that up.
I
That
like it.
wouldn't take too long to pay for it.
Well, good deal.
Yeah.
Well, before I move on from technologies, anything else that kind of caught your
Yeah,
eye, or did we?
there was a couple more things that I gravitated towards. There was a, a spider boom. Um, so if you think of a traditional concrete pump truck,
Mhm.
um, it sits on the ground, and it unfolds, and it goes up, and it's able to pump concrete, a really long distance away. And some of the bigger ones are about 63 meters long. We typically use 61-meter pumps. That's
You can get into
typical.
hard to reach places.
Yeah, so they can get into these hard to reach places. Well, now they've got these spider booms, which are kind of these independent concrete placing booms that are they're kind of like this screed that I'm talking about. They kind of have some outriggers that actually sit on the deck, the concrete deck. And then you can have a feeder pump feed into that. And then this placing boom, the spider boom, will actually get you another 36 meters of reach on top of whatever your concrete pump truck is giving you.
Hmm.
So it's just another little thing that you can use when you're in tight spots, a little tough to reach. Maybe the topography at your job site, makes it tough for a truck to get in there, and so your reach is a little bit short. These cool spider boom pumps let you get a little bit more reach. So that was,
That's cool. That's one I'm thinking, like, why didn't we come up with that earlier? But
yeah,
that one took a while.
I don't know. It's always interesting to me. I know that weight is always usually a limiting factor, but sometimes it's components, and then just figuring out the hydraulics on these things. Yeah, I don't. That's more
Makes
of a
sense.
mechanical engineering type realm.
We got to get another brother on here talk about
Yeah,
that.
we need Dan on here to help us. But yeah, some of those things you think, gosh, why didn't I think of that? That's
Yeah, that's true.
and then another thing, and again, I'm biased, right? I'm looking at things that spark my interest, but there was a cool uh, collar. So if you think of a concrete pump truck and that boom that's going clear up, and then there's like a rubber hose that drops down from the end of the boom, and that's what the placers and the finishers are directing when they're pouring their concrete. Well, when they stop the pump, usually the concrete that's still in that length of hose that's dangling down just kind of
Mhm.
drops out. and it
Yeah.
kind of becomes a waste of concrete because it's just dropping out on the ground. Well, now they've got these collars, these restrictive collars that restrict the hose. And usually the guys on site are like trying to kink the hose or bend the hose to stop that concrete from coming out. But that's tough to do all the time. But now they've got these collars that restrict the hose automatically and stops that concrete from just dropping out. And so it ends up saving quite a bit of material, especially when it's a larger pump, or excuse me, a larger pour. Um, that little
That's
bit of
cool. So that all happens automatically. No one's having to mess with that. That's
no, the
just a
truck,
color you put on it.
the pump truck operator has to
Oh,
kind of be in control of
push
that.
push the button,
Yep,
stop that.
he can restrict that flow, and then it keeps that concrete from kind of leaking out at
Well,
the
that's
end of
awesome.
a pass or something. So that was something else that kind of caught my interest. But yeah, it was cool.
Lots of fun technologies. I'm sure there's more, and I know you're looking at it from your own angle and viewpoint and what you do. And maybe there's some other stuff that other people liked more, but I think that's a good flavor of what you
Yeah.
saw there. So
And we have to mention the size of these concrete pump trucks. So when I started going to the world of concrete, I mean, the 57 meter was just like, whoa, that's huge, 57 meter. And then they went to a 61 meter and a 63 meter. Oh man. Well, now they're up to like a 66 meter, and it's just like, holy smokes, man. They're
are
getting
these
long.
huge trucks?
Yeah.
I mean, they're
And
just
I'll
getting massive.
I'll get you a picture so you can put that on here, but they're huge. And so what restricts them is obviously the weight of the truck. You can't just drive a truck that weighs too much on the roads, because there's restrictions on bridges and
Right.
roadways. Yeah, and you can't exceed the load per axle that everything's been designed for. And so that's kind of their restriction. So they've learned to lighten up components. I don't know how they've done it exactly, but we're at 66 meters now. So that's something that's impressive to me.
We've removed the engine and made room for more concrete.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's switch gears then to more of the educational component of what you've got at this conference. Like, take us through what some of the class options that you had there. What are people learning? What did you go there and learn? Like, what are some of the classes that you think at least sparked your interest, and what other people might be interested in?
Yeah. So most every technical subject, from concrete design, um, to concrete place and finish methods, to I mean, I would say anything that ACI covers in any of their committee publications. Um, there's a class at this thing that's where they're discussing it, and so
Wow.
they get industry professionals that have been practicing, that are actually serving on these ACI committees, and so they're really knowledgeable guys. I went to a mixed design class with a guy that I was really impressed with him. He was sharp, and I learned a lot about concrete mixed design. Um, he was a PhD, from I think it was Oklahoma State, but
Hmm.
so good, knowledgeable guys that are in the industry, but they're not just from academia, where they're actually guys that are they might be PhDs, they might be very highly educated people, but they got their hands in the concrete. They're
Getting
working
their
with it.
hands dirty.
They're getting their hands dirty, so they're good, knowledgeable guys. And so I had a mixed design class, and then I had a structural design class, concrete design class that was interesting. And while I do a fair amount of that, um, I always like to hear other designers' perspective on concrete design. I haven't designed every type of structure that there is in concrete, and so
Sure.
hearing others' perspectives on that is always interesting. I always pick up, a little something from those things. So
That's great. So it sounds like a wide variety of classes. People are interested in going down for continuing education. I'm sure you're getting credits for it
yes.
if you go down there. A big component with conferences is usually making connections. Do you feel like if people go down there, they could make connections with others and whatnot?
Absolutely. In fact, what happens usually is you find out that a lot of your suppliers that you typically buy things from, if you're working for a general contractor like me, they're at the show, and what do they want to do is they want to take you out to dinner, right? They want to take
Ooh,
you out to places. Yeah.
you hit some good spots.
Yeah, we went to some good places. Vegas has got some nice upper end restaurants, and we hit a couple of them, and it was some good
So
food. But
Circus was
no,
that where you?
that wasn't on the list.
Oh,
That old resort's still there, though, man.
nice.
Yeah, it's
I haven't
still
been there in a while.
it's still there. But no circus. We were at the Win, and so we were at a little higher end places. But what was cool is I got to talk to a lot of people in the same um, industry, right, that I am, and having the same issues, and just being able to bounce things off of them. So I made some friends, or I was able to network with a bunch of local concrete contractors from Vegas
Mm,
that build a lot of the high rise hotels that are in that town, um, and just able to kind of collaborate with them and build a little bit of a friendship. I mean, as much as you can build in, I guess, in one night, but
right.
yeah. So people that I can call on if I, need to ask questions, or I
Pick your
can
brain.
say, yeah, I remember that guy I had dinner with, and he said I could call him anytime I needed to if I had a question. And vice versa. They can call me, and so it was a great networking opportunity that way. And it
Yeah.
came from just going to dinner with a supplier that just happened to be common to me and these other contractors that are in the same field, same industry. So
That's cool. I went to a conference this last year called TS-DOS, which is really geared towards transmission, substations, and operations kind of stuff in the utility world. And same thing, you get to network with people, and even though you might not, totally make a lasting relationship, if you remember some of these names and faces, they definitely can help you, whether it's with career or whether it's with a specific job you're doing, stuff like that. So
yeah,
good
I
stuff.
was eating crab with these guys, man, and we
Ooh.
were bonding.
So the big question is, did you win any money? I think that's the big question.
Well, Isaac, I'm not a big gambler, as you know. Some of my, I'll say some of my colleagues. What's funny about, I don't know, I get a kick out of people that, and you're like, how'd you do last night at the tables, or how'd you do? And oh yeah,
Yeah.
I got up $300. And then I look at, one of my other colleagues that's with us, and he's just, shaking his head, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And he and the second colleague that I'm talking about that was shaking his head was be like, yeah, I saw him go to the ATM at least 3 times. And I know he got $300 every time. And I'm like, okay, so he lost 900, but he gained 600. So the net loss was 300. And he goes, yeah, that's right. He just
Well,
happened to be up for one night. So that's the rationalization that I guess gamblers do. But yeah,
hey,
I'm not a big gambler.
it's a big draw for, I'm sure, having a conference down there.
Right,
So
right.
good. Well,
Yep.
I guess, Mark, to wrap this up, why would someone want to attend this conference, do you think?
Well, I think it's first of all, it's an opportunity to learn some things from the classes that are offered. If you need certifications like from PTI or CRSI or PCA or ACI too, this is a great place to get certifications, and then at least you can get your continuing education units if you need those. And then second, it's a good place to go to get in touch with the latest tech and the latest innovations that are in the construction industry, concrete construction industry. It helps you make informed decisions on how to build things. And then, of course, if you're in the design field, if you're a construction engineer, obviously you're on the construction side of things. If you're a design engineer, a structural engineer, it's a great place to get in touch as well with the constructability and the latest tech, so that your designs, frankly, are constructible, because you understand the latest tech that's out there, the latest methods, what's possible, as these general contractors and contractors are constructing your design. And then last, it's a good place to network, like we talked about at the end there. It's not only the people that you interface with, maybe at some of the exhibits, if you're interested in a certain product or certain piece of equipment. There's opportunities to network in those situations, but there's all the stuff that happens after the exhibits, the socializing, right? The dinners and the socializing that happens afterwards. You can make good connections with folks that way. And so, yeah, it's just kind of this great opportunity where everybody gets together and kind of the industry gets together, and you can make some of those things happen. You're networking and increase your knowledge base, and yeah, it's just
Sounds
been
like a good all-around event for anyone interested.
Cool event that will continue into the future. I think they the last few years have been a little bit tough with COVID, and but this last January it was pretty good, and I would say it wasn't full capacity as I've seen in previous years, but it'll get back there. It's just
getting a little better.
Yeah, it was just the COVID thing and working through that.
I like it.
So,
well, next time let's get the World of Concrete to sponsor our podcast episode.
Well, we should just set up a booth down there, man.
I like it.
That'd be the thing to do.
I like it.
So,
well, Mark, thanks for jumping on, explaining what the World of Concrete is. I know a lot of people probably don't even know what that is, so it's good to get your opinion on what's there and why someone might be interested. If you're not going, I would talk to your employer, see if they can sponsor you to go and get you going.
It's usually the third week in January every year is when they put that on.
So it's not too crazy hot in Vegas, which is a good time.
No, it's perfect temps. We were in the 60s, mid 60s. So
like it. Okay, man. Thanks for doing this, and we'll see you in the next one.
Okay. See ya.
See ya.